How's it going, everybody? This is Pristine Paper back again for another video. And today, I'm going to be running through every year of the Noir Game Night Jersey set, starting in 2022-23 up until this year's 2024-25 set. And additionally, they're all Jaylen Brown cards, they're all the Prime version, so it'll be pretty easy to kind of go through each one because they're all the same player and they're all the Prime patches. So I have some pros and cons for each that I'm going to be running through. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one we're going to be looking at is the 2022-23 set. Now this one is the first year of the set, and it's numbered to 25. That's the Prime version. The Prime versions are numbered to 25, except the Damian Lillard from that year, but anyway, doesn't really matter. So the pros I have for this one are the overall design. I love the overall design and the use of the foil and the dual use of the photo. I think a lot of times Panini can either overuse the foil or underuse it, so there's like a fine line between how much reflective foil looks good on cards, in my opinion. And I think this usage of the foil is really, perfect. And like I said, I like the dual usage of the photo and how one's light and one's dark. So I think that's pretty awesome. Cons on this one, I just have the Panini guarantee statement on the back. Okay, so on the back here, you can see that it says the enclosed material is worn/used during Brown's game on November 4th, 2021, and is guaranteed by Panini America. Now, the thing that I don't really like about this guarantee is that it says the material is used during Brown's game. So it doesn't outright say that Brown was the one wearing it or using it. This material could be from Jason Tatum, but it was still worn during this game. So I don't think that's the case, but it's just that aspect of the guarantee. You can find some holes in it, but it's not the worst one that we're gonna look at in this scenario. So now we're gonna move on to the 2023-24 set. Okay, and here is the 2023-24 set. It is of Jaylen Brown again, of course, the Prime version, and this Prime version is numbered to 10. So that's one of my pros. It has a lower print run, more rare, more collectible. It doesn't really matter to me, that it is lower print run, but I think it still just, adds to the rarity and collectability of the set. And, for another pro, I have the overall design. I do like the overall design. It is one picture this time, but it's more of a focus on that one picture. But unfortunately, the cons, I think there's too much foil on this card. Too many lines with the foil, and especially in the middle of the card, I think kind of takes away from the actual aspect of the set, which is this was worn on a specific night. The date it says at the top, October 24th, 2022, is much smaller than the text on the first card, so it kind of takes away from the original purpose of the set, in my opinion. And then on the back, the Panini guarantee statement is a little bit, more fuzzy than the previous one, so I'll show you that. Okay, here we go. So on the back of this one, it says the enclosed game worn/used material, which is worn/used on October 24th, 2022, is guaranteed by Panini America. So this one doesn't even include Jaylen Brown's name, which, this statement is their, umbrella statement they use for any of the patch cards. Usually, they don't include the player's name. Or, obviously in this case, they're including the date. But yeah, on this one, they don't include the player's name, which, is a little bit more ambiguous. Anybody from that game, I guess, could be on the Celtics could have worn this, but I trust them in that regard. I don't think that they would do that on a set that's specific to a certain player and the game and their performance. However, it's still is a little bit more. There's some more holes that you can point out in this Panini guarantee statement. So overall, it's a decent looking card, and I do like it. However, I don't think it is my favorite iteration of the set. So now let's move on to the newest iteration. Okay, and now we are on the 2024-25 set, and it already looks pretty different compared to the previous 2 years. I'll just go into the cons, because I have more cons than pros with this one. And the first con is I don't like the vertical design. I think it looks better horizontal, in my opinion. I think if you're gonna make a set like this, and if you're gonna make it vertical, you need to make the patch window bigger, which is another one of my complaints. This patch window is shaped differently than the other two. The other two were just squares. This one has more of like a hexagonal aspect on the right side. However, if you're gonna make it vertical, there's so much more space up here and below that you could have made it a little bit bigger. And that's probably just because of how many more cards they have in the set this year. They have a version to 49, they have a prime version to like 18, and they have the gold, the 10, and they have even like a 25 version. So they have more patches to use. So I guess it makes sense that they wouldn't make the window bigger, but that's just still a con in my mind. And then there's not enough foil in my opinion here. There's only foil around the patch, up here in the name, and then down here. There's no, and these two little lines here, but I just don't think there's enough, especially with how much black space is on this card too. They definitely could have used, improved the design a little bit more, in my opinion. I do like that this version specifically is numbered to 10, but like I said, they have the versions to 18 and to 25, so it's not as rare. But I like that it's still comparable to the previous cards I have. And now my pro actually is the Panini guarantee statement, so I'll show you guys that right now. Okay, so here we go. Now the statement, you're gonna think I'm being a little bit hypocritical here. The statement is basically the same as the 2022-23 set, where it says the enclosed material is worn/used during Brown's game on 12/23/2020 and is guaranteed by Panini America. So they use his name this time. The reason that I have it as a pro is that they improved the statement compared to the 2023-24 set, where they didn't include the player's name. Now it still there's still some holes in it that you can point out. How it's saying that the material is worn/used during Brown's game. It doesn't say again that Brown was the one wearing it, which would be the cream of the crop in terms of this, the guarantee statement. If it said the enclosed material is worn/used by Brown during his game on 12/23/2020, that would be a lot better in my mind. But again, I still tried to have like a pro for this card, and I think them moving back to the more descriptive guarantee statement is a pro in my mind. So yeah, that's for that one. And now I'm going to kind of show you guys what my order of preference is in terms of the cards. Okay, yeah, I just use this 1,000 count box to prop up the cards. It might look a little weird, but it's all I got right now. But this is the order that I have for preference of the card and overall design and all that stuff. The first year I think is the best year. I really like the dual photo aspect and the black and white photo. It's more zoomed in. Really like that. I think that the use of the foil is the best. I technically think it's the biggest patch window. Out of the three, I can't really tell though. And then I do like how actually this copy specifically is jersey numbered 7/25. I forgot to mention that. And this one's number 9/10, and this one's number 9/10. I just found that out when I was recording this video, so that's kind of cool having the same serial number copy for those two cards. But then I think I have this one as my number 2. It's in the middle. I like the design a lot more than this one. And I know I was complaining about the overuse of foil here, but when you're comparing it to this one, I mean, the foil is I'm a sucker for the foil. I think that this looks better than that. However, this is the biggest text for the date, or the emphasis of what the set's about. The date that it was worn. This is the smallest. That one's probably in the middle. But I have to say this is my least favorite, just because of all the reasons I said before. I think the black, there's too much black. There's not enough substance, I guess. You could have made, I've been saying before, the patch window should be bigger in my opinion, but that's just because they increased the print run of the primes this year. And the vertical aspect, I'm not a big fan of, and there's more going on in the background of these cards. You can see the hoop, you can see the fans here. This just looks like it was taken, in a studio almost, but I know it's not because I've photo matched this photo. But yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say about these three. This is the order in preference for me. But let me know what you guys think, and what you think of the set in general. Do you guys like it? Do you like the game dated aspect? Let me know in the comments below. I love to hear from you guys. But And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me today. Like and comment, like I was saying. Subscribe if you haven't. I think I just hit over 200 subscribers, so I'm really happy about that. Thank you guys for supporting me and watching the videos. I've just been doing this for fun. I haven't really been trying to like scale it to an actual point where I can call myself a YouTuber, quote unquote. But I just like doing these videos, and I get inspired to do different things, like my history videos and my actual card content, and then my hobby content where I'm calling out the BS. So I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I appreciate you guys watching and supporting. Without further ado, I'm rambling now. I'm gonna peace out here and say bye. See you later.